Hi, this is Penn. Penn Jillette, Penn and Teller. Big guy does magic, smaller guy next to me. He does magic too. He doesn't talk that much. I want to talk about Joseph Jaffe is not famous. And Joseph Jaffe is not famous. Joseph Jaffe is wicked not famous. Joseph Jaffe is superlatively not famous, and for good and sufficient reason. I mean, maybe his guests are famous. Maybe his guests are famous. He gets some famous people on his guests, but Joseph Jaffe himself is not famous. That's the important part. You can have famous guests and still not be famous. And if you want an example of that, well, Joseph Jaffe would be a really good example. Teller would do a better job at a talk show, and Teller doesn't talk, which you'd think would be one of the major qualifications of being on a talk show and not being famous. What's that, Teller? Oh, yeah, Teller says, Joseph Jaffe, not famous. Love you. Peace.
But he's well, Peter, you might be the first person on this planet that has ever shut me up for this long. Good old Heraclitus, I tell you, that wild and crazy guy.
If I came to you and I gave you $10,000 for 20% of the company,
deal. Yeah. So, is that a verbal?
Younger than us, sorry to say, Joseph.
What, younger than 20?
Joe, we're just trying to help you because clearly you've lost control of the conversation.
I never, you know what, with all due respect, I never had control of the situation. Doesn't mean I'm overgone. What doesn't kill me makes you stronger.
Look at you! You are insane.
How did I do that?
You're insane. You're insane.
Yes. I might be insane, but I'm your insane. I mean, we're all insane together. And insanity, I guess, is relative, just like risk, I suppose, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just the only insane one and you're all just feeling sorry for me. Who knows? But here's what I do know. It's Monday, April 25th, and it is time for another week in Not Famous Land. It is the first full week that I will be running with and rolling out my hold economy. And if you're wondering what a hold economy is, I'm also wondering. No, I'll tell you what it means. It means that if you buy and hold just one Jaffe coin, which is priced at about, I don't know, $10 right now. Remember, you buy it, you hold it, you own it, you can sell it anytime you want. I don't even see it. And yet you have a whole host of benefits. For example, there's a pre-show going on right now. It's actually not, surprise, Monday, April 25th. Well, actually it is because you're watching it April 25th, but it is actually in the past. Does this make any sense? Well, it does to me. It's actually Sunday, April 24th, and we are pre-taping. And by holding one coin, you have access to the show's channels, and you can actually watch my guest today, which is Elliot Koss, the two of us just hanging out and shooting the breeze. That's what happens when you own one Jaffe coin. But if you choose to hold 10 Jaffe coins, you become a fan. You get the fan role on Discord, and what that means now is you're eligible for free coin. Right now, if you see a QR code like there, that means right now, as long as the show is live, you get Jaffe coin, but you do need to hold 10 Jaffe coin, and you're eligible for what I call the never-ending NFT giveaways. Once a week, I give away an NFT on the show based on NFT Fridays, and once you enter, you just stay in the drawing until you win. Now, should you choose to move up to the 25 coin level, you now are an insider And you get a whole bunch of things, including but not limited to show notes. You know, this is actually a big deal for me. I don't know if it's a big deal for you, but it's a pretty big deal for me, simply because I've been taking copious notes since I started the show for the most part. And as you can see, they're time stamped. Like, I love this way. Dimitri Linton on the show last Friday, he spoke about community is the utility. What a brilliant point. And the point is, you can go now to that episode and you can just essentially fast forward and go and find that clip, maybe even take that clip as well. But, you know, with all of these NFT projects looking to offer utility, what if the actual utility is a fully functioning, deep, mutually beneficial, engaged, active community? So you will have access to all of my notes that now become your notes. Now, at 50 coins, remember, you own the coins. I don't. You can sell them at any point in time. But now you become a VIP and you get backstage passes to the show. And what that means is that, well, I mean, you could be backstage right now with Elliot and myself. You'll be able to actually hang out with us before the show begins, maybe ask a question to me, to my guest, and even watch the show from the virtual green room. And then finally, at 100 coin, you become a super fan. You join a monthly advisory call where we get to debrief and talk about what went right, what didn't go right with the show, come up with suggestions, maybe recommendations for future guests. You basically get to get your guests on the show. And if I'm able to book them on the show, maybe you book them on the show, you'll actually come onto the show, make a cameo, and become a co-host for a few moments and ask them a question. So not only will this monthly call necessitate this information sharing, but if you're looking to start your own show, I will share with you all of my tips of the trade, almost like a kind of a mastermind. So that is what's rolling out. And if you really want to get access to it, you just need to go to my Not Famous Discord. And that is bit.ly/Not Famous Discord. Join the Discord. Do something called Coin Join. You'll be able to see it in the show notes. And you will immediately get access to those roles based on how many coins you possess. But enough about that. Let's focus on this week. Let's focus on my amazing guests, Elliot Koss, Jason Keith, David Dylan Thomas, and Amanda Russell in the house. And next week, I'll actually be in Phoenix, Arizona for CEX, May 2nd through 4th. And I'll be doing the show live from the floor. But this week, one more little bit of housekeeping, NFT Fridays. At the moment, I'm in the process of booking maybe a very special guest. And I cannot tell you more alpha on that. But what I can tell you is that when you have access to the giveaways channel by holding the coin, you have the ability, of course, to win an NFT. And this week, I will be giving away one of the Tribe X NFTs. What an amazing story. Again, for those of you that are new to the show, please go back and watch last week's show on Friday. This is the story of an NFT collection that had just under 200 ETH stolen, maliciously stolen from them on their day that they launched, that they minted. And instead of running away and folding, waving the white flag, the founders, Dimitri and co, decided to stay the course, stay and fight back. And I am just so all into this community and what they're trying to do. And it's not just the narrative about fighting back. It's actually also about their vision, which is to do something about what is an egregious challenge right now in terms of tech. Because, you know, according to Dimitri, and you would see that in the show notes as well, he said, WAGMI is a lie. WAGMI is a lie because what is happening right now is that people of color and various minority groups and constituencies are not getting a fair shake, are not getting equal opportunity in tech, and in particular in Web3. Also, one additional comment to make. As you know, I am in the process of launching the Alpha Collective. And I guess the alpha today is the fact that my guest, Elliot Koss, is one of our Alpha Talk speakers. So I can't wait for him to share his insights, his lessons, his learnings in terms of what is happening in this nascent space and how it's unfolding. We will get to him very, very shortly, but now it is time for the seated soliloquy. And today's seated soliloquy, of course, is connected to my guest, is connected to Elliot. We're going to talk about the complexity of NFTs. And that's why I wanted to share with you this idea of complex, but not complicated. Now, look, I've been doing the show for well over 2 years now, since the pandemic hit. And you may have heard me say that one of my mantras is this idea of simple but not simplistic, complex but not complicated. Simple but not simplistic means we have to be able to simplify. We have to be able to, I had Dan Pink on the show, and his whole book is about regrets, or Malcolm Gladwell's book about the tipping point. They have the ability, the greats, to distill complicated, not complicated, I should say, but complex ideas into something that could fit into a tweet, something that looks, almost appears like a tagline. In fact, that is what happens in advertising. In advertising, you have agencies that are able to take all of this research, all of this data and complexity, and distill it into a big idea, a campaign idea, and yes, a tagline as well. So simple, but not simplistic, because we don't want to oversimplify. We don't want to dumb down. We don't want to insult our consumer, our user, our reader, our community member. But what about the other one? Complex, but not complicated. Well, life is, what you see on the screen, a mathematical calculation, dissecting the human genome. This is not child's play. This is not easy stuff. It is complex, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And I guess the point is, if oversimplifying is something bad, then overcomplicating is something bad as well. Now, in the case of NFTs, and Elliot and I will talk about it, there is still a lot of complex aspects to this ecosystem, to the blockchain. And truth be told, there's also a lot of stuff that is really complicated. But there are ways to cheat legally. There are ways to cut corners. There are ways to be able to still figure out how to get to the finish line. And what I mean by that, and I will leave you today with just a simple thought, which is, when water is flowing through a stream and comes across or upon a rock, it does not go through the rock, because that is impossible. It goes around the rock. There's always a way to deal and find the perfect balance between simple but not simplistic, complex but not complicated. And here is a man now that is not complicating the NFT space. In fact, he's helping us simplify it. Elliot Koss is the founder of Future NFT Mints, a research, analysis, and discovery platform for NFTs. Over the course of his career, he's been a product manager, data analyst, and engineer while working at a variety of startups and large companies, including Apple, BritBox, Casetext, and LendUp. He's based in Austin, Texas. Is there anywhere better to be? And has enjoyed returning to his Texas roots, which I assume means the Salt Lick as well. Elliot, welcome to the show.
Hi, Joseph. Thanks for having me.
The Salt Lick, the great Salt Lick.
It's very good barbecue. It's definitely a departure coming from the Bay Area, where I had very limited access to good barbecue, and New York, where we had one spot that was in Chelsea that I absolutely loved, and now I'm blanking on the name. But yeah, it's great to be back to Austin, and great to be here with you.
Hey, were you in Austin now for South by Southwest?
I was, yes.
And we did not meet.
I know.
It's criminal.
It was very busy. I mean, the NFT space, the crypto space, there was just so much going on. I'm sure, same for you. You're probably just, going from one thing to the next. So yeah, it was very.
I actually don't even remember much of it. It was such a blur. I think I was so happy not to be wearing a mask. So happy to see old friends. And I mean, the only thing that hit me there was like pure Web3 was the big Doodles installation with a line around the block. I didn't even go near the line. I actually, I guess I'm very eccentric because there are two things about me that you should know. One is that I just refuse to stand in lines. I just refuse. I'm too old for it. And the other thing is I've never actually attended a session in South by Southwest. I've never actually gone to the content because the networking is just so unbelievable. I guess maybe this year I might have broken my streak because I went to see Lizzo and she was just amazing.
I mean, that I wish I would have been able to get into that one. I think you needed a pass though, and I very similarly didn't attend the conference itself. Just attended the events that were around. So
look, I'm 51 years old, and I'm not going to be embarrassed to tell you that I completely cut the line to get into Lizzo. I just said I VIP, I believe, and they're like, there's the back of the line. So I went to the back of the line. It turns out that it wasn't even close to the back of the line because it's still snaked. And I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm too old for this shit, basically. And I went to like one of the VIP lines, and I said, "Hi, I'm remember me? I'm just back. I went to the restroom," and they said, "Oh yeah, I remember you." And I'm like, "It's good enough for me. I don't care. I got no shame."
That's amazing. That was that big Amazon Studios like section near Rainey Street. Is that?
No, this was actually in the main. Oh, the Amazon stuff I didn't go near, but
yes,
yes, because Lizzo's. I think it's like something for the big girls, or it's like her new show is on Prime as well. So they did this whole. I got to say, Amazon has done a phenomenal job at South by in terms of like really getting around one of their like key pieces of content and just bringing in all the stars. I'm very, I think they've done an amazing job.
Yeah,
and yes, it's in Rainey Street, like near the Fairmont.
Right. Yeah, I had walked by the concert on the way to. I think there was some TikTok party that had too long of a line. The group I was with, we were like, no, we're not doing this. So we left and went somewhere else.
So now, Elliot, today is, by the way, happy National DNA Day. And I figured this was appropriate given the fact we're talking about complex but not complicated, simple but not simplistic. And I thought I would ask you a question, which is, what do you think? This is I'm putting you on the spot now, but what do you think is, if we had to dissect the Web3 genome, if we had to distill or unpack this NFT space, what's the essence? What's the DNA of this whole space? And just so that you don't feel completely put on the spot, the obvious answer might be community, and that would be a fair answer. But what do you think is, if we had to really distill this to the core, to Iron Man's, what does he call his engine, his heart, this stuff in Iron Man, whatever his that device is called, like, what's the essence?
It's funny because over the last day or two, I've had some conversations and I've read some people's thoughts kind of on the subject. And to me, like, they were talking at the heart of what community is in Web3. And it was kind of highlighting that community isn't at the center of it. I'm trying to formulate what is the right framing for this, but I think it's more individuality, that it puts more control into individuals who can bring it back to the community, but that it's not centralized. I think, to me, it comes down to decentralization. part of this is coming from the phrase we're all going to make it. And there's been several people who have like highlighted that that's not true. We're not all making it. That there are small pockets of people who are making it right now.
Yeah, it's so true.
And so I'm trying to really break it down, because I think that by providing the tools and the access to anyone to be able to claim that power, so to speak, it's creating something very powerful. I'm not articulating it very well, but I think the decentralization part is the key part. Being able to, rally these communities, but these communities are usually getting centered around a few people. If you look at the NFT projects that have been most successful, right, they're the centralized teams that have either been able to deliver or that have large audiences, and they've been able to sustain their success.
I think you actually I think you did a phenomenal job from an articulation standpoint, because whether it's Kevin Rose and his Proof Collective or Gary V, I mean, it's true. Actually, we're all wag me and community, and it's like staring at us in the face that, guess what, it isn't actually. I mean, there's the Pied Piper, and then there are all the children or the rats, whichever, that are following the Pied Piper. But it really is true that, maybe we've forgotten or we've lost our individuality. And what we need to do is find the balance between the few that can lead, because it's leadership, right? And then the many that can follow and benefit, because the shared ownership, the shared reward is a huge part of it too. So I think that's a fantastic build, to be honest.
Thanks. I mean, I guess right now what I'm the parts of Web3 that I love are also the parts that I'm kind of struggling with right now. In that I feel like we're about to unlock this kind of unprecedented utility in giving access to things that we never really had before. And it is the promise is there, but it hasn't been fulfilled. And I think a lot of people are, selling in marketing really effectively, but the substance of that message, I don't think has really been created yet. That's what actually drew me to the space in the first place, is that there is so much to build still. It's so new. And yet the technology, the underlying concepts of using cryptography to allow information that before needed to be siloed and hidden to now be publicly accessible and viewable, and that anyone can use that information to then create something else. These tools are extremely powerful, but not a lot of people have been able to prove to actually build something that is useful on top of it. And so I don't know. That to me is the exciting part of the space that we're in.
There's also, well, first of all, it's a good reminder that when we say crypto is short for cryptograph or cryptography, right? The other part of it is there's a massive irony, of course, which is that in this, immutable, incorruptible public ledger, there are all these ridiculous scams and and vulnerabilities and all of this stuff happening here with links and and hacks that's making the space anything but safe for newcomers. So that's another irony, of course, which is we're so early, but we also have to figure out how to make the place safer and cleaner and and friendlier for the people to come next. Otherwise, nobody's coming. Nobody's coming to save us.
Yeah, it's funny because there's actually two pieces to that. The first one for me is that one, we're so early in the tech cycle for this that we are talking about things that most people would never bother with, right? Like back in like the mid 90s, if you were in the space, you may have been talking about HTTP versus HTTPS and SSL. So, because these new technologies were being created and they were enabling new ways of using the internet. But if you ask anyone today, hey, can you tell me what HTTP is and what's HTTPS and how are they different? They will have no idea what you're talking about. They know that those are the letters that are in front of websites, but beyond that, they don't understand what that technology is and why it's important. And so when we get to that place with NFTs, in particular, right, where they're like, yeah, I kind of know what an NFT is, but they don't need to, because they're able to use the technology and get the utility from it and the power that it unlocks. That's when we'll be in a better place. I think we're so early with the way we talk about this, but people want to participate because they're hearing these stories of, hey, someone was playing these games 2 years ago, and somehow these tokens they accumulated are worth over $1 million. Or they bought some Ethereum back when it was $10 and now it's $3,000 each, and they had accumulated like 1,000 of them at that time, which while it was still more expensive, it's nowhere near the value of what it is today. So people hear these stories, they get excited, they get turned on to it, and they want to participate. But it is very complex, and so you have these people who are taking advantage of them. But what's even what I think is also a little scary is that the blockchain is very unforgiving. It is an immutable ledger. When you do something, you really can't take it back. And so the fact that there's no customer support, right? Decentralization is a value. It's a benefit, but it's also a downside because you have no one to ask, hey, why did this money just get taken? Can we go ahead and reverse that? If someone steals your credit card, you call your credit card company. We have laws in place. We have regulations in place that you have like 60 days or so to notify your credit card agency, and they will work with you and get that money back. In crypto and Web3 and with NFTs, if someone gets your wallet, they own you, and you have no recourse for it. And the last thing I want to mention, though, is that there was an NFT project, Aku Dreams, that did this mint a couple days ago, and there was a bug in the way they deployed their contract, and so there is now something like $35 million that has been purchased into the contract that is now locked forever. The team has no access to it. To their credit, they are handling it.
Wow.
I think as well as anyone could. It's a lot of money. It would have funded them. It would have allowed them to grow. They would have been able to really take their project to the next level. And now they don't have access to that. And yet they're still planning to move on. They will work on another project. They will continue delivering on the promises they have made to their users and to their buyers. And that community has rallied around them. But it highlights the risks that, when you're dealing with this complex technology, if you have a simple bug and it is in a contract that you have deployed to the blockchain and you're trying to rely on that, you could be in a pretty tough position if if you don't have it done correctly.
I'm thinking like a simple bug by the name of CoV2 or some bat that was apparently. But it's true. It's like these are these can be small things or not small things that have major impact on lifestyle, life as we know it. That is life. Life can be tough. Life can be beautiful. Life can suck. But the thing is that always prevails is humanity. So even with all of this, I mean, your example of the community rallying around, the example of Tribe X, of how the community rallied around as well. I told my story of how immediately when this thing happened, I was like, you know what? To hell with this. I'm not going through another one of these rug FUD, whatever. And I listed my NFT. And then when I started to hear the founders talk, I was like, hell no. And I delisted it. And then I relisted it at 1,000 ETH, basically to say, I'm not going anywhere, and I said to Dimitri on my show on Friday, if anyone is foolish enough to buy this NFT at 1,000 ETH, I'm going to donate 10% back to the community. But that's the thing. It's like humanity can lift. Humans can actually prevail, even with all of this crazy adversity, even with the bad actors and the bad players.
Yeah. I think, you know, for Aku Dreams, like the fact that they were able to get so many people excited and interested and put $35 million behind them, I think it shows that they have a strong community, and the way they're handling it, you know, it sounds like similar to Tribe X, where those communities are going to rally around them. But again, they're rallying around the people who are leading it. And that, I think, is the important thing, is that these individuals who have created these NFTs and these NFT communities, those are the focal points. And we've seen NFT communities where the team leaves, and then that community kind of, you know, wanders away. And so kind of going back to, you know, what is that DNA within Web3, I still think it's we're still very much personality driven. We're still very much like, you know, what is that core concept that is being built, and, you know, do people believe in that? Yeah, I mean, and that is largely what you know, I think has kind of inspired me to work and build future NFT mints, is that it is so hard to find these projects. To actually refresh that page, I'm curious, because we just launched an update to it.
I think I can do that.
Perfect. There we go. Awesome.
There we go.
We just launched a new version of the page.
Oh, I like this. I like it a lot.
We have a roadmap. There's one bug on there that I need to go fix right after this. But we have I started doing this because I joined Club CPG, this community that was started by Chris Cantino and Jamie Schmidt, and I was learning so much about the NFT space. And this is, you know, one of those use cases where the community is really, really important. And there's a ton of people in there, very active, that are aware of multiple projects. You know, Moonbirds, we were all very excited about that. I did not win the raffle. That would have been huge.
I know. I didn't even, by the way, I didn't even know about Moonbirds. I don't even know where I was or what rock I was living under, but I was like.
But like that's part of this, is that there are these NFTs that some communities know about and are just talking about nonstop, right? We were talking about this like constantly in the Club CPG Telegram, but other places it's silent, and so you don't hear about it. And there are, you know, so to be able to start cross-pollinating this information is really challenging. You constantly have to stay up to speed in Telegram, in Twitter, on Discord, and you have to be plugged into the right conversation at the right time. And not only that, a lot of things are discussed in there. So you not only have to pay attention, but now you have to filter what is being shared in these communities. And then you have to remember, this person is credible and this person not so much. And that was, for me, very exhausting. That first month for me, I was doing a ton of research, staying up to 1, 2, 3 in the morning, trying to just like find new NFTs to mint and to buy. And, you know, I did okay with several of them. And I, you know, did poorly with several of them. But I started just like putting these research reports together to try to just like consolidate the basic information about these NFTs, so that people would have the information. In fact, we covered Moonbirds. Moonbirds was one that we covered. I think it was like about 8 or 9 days before the NFT went out. And we told people, hey, this is the link for the raffle. So if you were on our free email, you would have actually seen the full insight report. And you would have been told about the raffle. Now you need a 2.5 ETH in your wallet just to join the raffle. That is very expensive. But if you had that and you were able to participate, I mean, the floor on it now is above 30 ETH in just a little over a week, which is absurd. And so, you know, so I started putting these insight reports together on Tuesday. It's Sunday right now, but you guys are listening to this on Monday, so it's tomorrow for you.
It's the future.
Yeah, it's the future.
We're time travelers.
But we're going to be doing our 100th Insight Report. I mean, as a part of that, we're going to do a little celebration, and you know, I put together this animated GIF that has every single one of the Insight Reports that we have done, and it just loops through. But you know, so those reports I think have been useful. But I'm more of an entrepreneur, right? These were done for customer discovery to figure out what should really be built. And so the real product that we're building is a token gated platform. Is a place where you'll be able to find what is coming up. You'll be able to track it. You'll be able to like and follow these projects. You will get information. We will be able to update the information as new information comes out. The users themselves will be able to input information. And so you'll be able to start, you know, following individuals to see, oh, like how have they done with the NFTs they recommended? You'll be able to start breaking it down by communities, right? I'm in Club CPG. If you hold the Club CPG NFT in your wallet and you like something, then we'll be able to start tracking who within that Club CPG community, or who within the Moonbirds or Proof, communities, how many of them like this specific NFT. And so you'll be able to start getting information from a wide variety of sources. And, you know, our Genesis NFT, there's only 500 of them. And those NFTs are intended to be special. They will give you lifetime access to the platform because we haven't built it yet. So you're putting some faith in us, and we want to make sure that we give you some value.
I'm an owner. I'm a very proud.
Yeah.
I'm a very proud owner. I did not hesitate, and I actually feel very strongly that we really need to support one another. So whether it's BFF or Club CPG or, you know, or Alpha, etc., we have. I mean, there is so much place and space for all of us in this sandbox at this early juncture. I mean, it's. I wanted to read this to you actually because as we were talking, it really did strike me that this is. A lot of this could live in a Twitter DM. A lot of this could live in a Telegram. But it really is just about being able to have conversations with people that you know, you like, you trust, you respect. So this is how I kind of wrote Alpha. And I just wanted to like kind of read it to you. What is Alpha? In the Web3 world, we often use the term when talking about extremely early and exclusive info about a major development, breaking news, or the next hot NFT project. But for executives, entrepreneurs, and members of this community, Alpha can mean a whole lot more. Alpha is the ability to understand what works in Web3 and why. Alpha is in the ability to see through the hype and find the promise. Alpha is in the lessons you learn by getting in early, avoiding common missteps, and turning near-term wins into long-term success. And Alpha is in understanding how the best business thinking stands the test of time, even in the face of the next big thing. And here's what Alpha is not. Alpha isn't alpha males, the 1%, scarcity, scare tactics, FOMO, or FUD. Our collective might be exclusive, but it's not excluding. And so it continues. But I think there's an important point here, which is we all need the alpha, but we don't have to actually treat it like an unfair advantage and use it to actually disadvantage others. And for me, that's the spirit of collaboration, which is why I didn't hesitate, you know, in fact, I mean, I not only did I not hesitate, I was so excited to meet you, to have you on the show, to promote what you're doing because it's needed, because you're helping me as well. You know, your information is incredible. You know, the regularity, the frequency, and the actual quality of it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, and I have a team, right? We have a couple of researchers, some engineers, designers, and we're all working really hard to deliver something that's strong. But I completely agree with you. There is so much opportunity here for so many different communities to create valuable tools and resources. Again, we're so early in this space. That again is what excites me, is that these things don't exist yet. And you know, we're all kind of trying to approach this problem from different angles. And they're going to require different focuses. I'm doing something that is much more qualitative, and that is focused on the specific projects themselves. And at some point, right, you'll be able to start seeing the sentiment that other people have. But I think, what you're describing for your alpha community about learning lessons, and being able to learn from mistakes and grow from that. That's not something that I'm going to be focusing on at the beginning. And I'm also not going to focus on quantitative, right? Like, I'm not going to be pulling in this massive amounts of data, partly because I know other people are dead set on that problem. And the problem I'm really trying to focus on is really NFT mints, right? Like, having a solid calendar, giving you the information so that you are confident that this is the project that you want to buy. Because I'm getting to a place, there was a time in January and February where I'd done pretty well on some projects, and I was like, great, like, let's buy some more. But they don't have to be the ones that are going to be clear winners. Let's support these strong communities. And those NFTs have done okay. And those communities are still doing, they're still building and they're still growing. But I ran out of ETH. And so now I'm personally slowing down as I focus on building, and building what I think is going to be a really powerful tool. And so I'm going to mint a couple things, and I may buy a couple things, but I'm going to be much more focused on finding very strong leaders who have built good communities and that are building something with real utility. Like you had mentioned BFF earlier. I was really fortunate. Jamie Schmidt is one of the co-founders of that NFT and community, and was able to get airdropped one of the bracelets. And so a couple days ago, minted by BFF. We wrote an insight report on it, so we gave information about it. Right before this, actually, I literally just minted a second one. I was fortunate, won one of the raffles for it. And if there's any extra, I'm going to try to mint those tomorrow at I think 10 o'clock Pacific time in the morning, and that'll be Monday, probably after this is shown. But like, that to me is a very, very strong community. It is women led, and it is for women. And so one of the things I'm trying to figure out is, okay, if I have a couple of these NFTs, I need to probably either give them to someone or find some way to help some women who are new to the space get access to the resources and the tools that they're going to provide. They're going to do a conference that the bracelet, the airdropped NFT is going to provide access to. I'm looking forward to when someone creates the lending protocol for NFTs, so I can start sharing these with other people, and helping onboard more people, especially women, who we have seen in the venture community get 2% of funding, which is absurd. We should not be seeing these disparities by any means. Some of the strongest leaders that I have worked with, and the people who I respect the most, have been women leaders. And so, I want to figure out, like, how I can be helpful.
It's amazing. And by the way, Elliot, this is actually a stat from TribeX, from Dimitri's appearance. 76% of blacks and 62% of Hispanics could get shut out or be underprepared for 86% of jobs in the US by 2045. And it's specifically talking about tech right now. So I mean, it's so funny how all of this is coming back to this idea of leadership and individuals that stand up, that are counted. That's why I think I'm so impressed with what you're building and what you're doing, and I'm trying to as well play my role, because we get to step up, we get to stand up, and we get to try and be part of this rising tide that floats all boats. I want to take just a moment to to help people understand a little bit more about this specific individual that is Elliot Koss. So we have a little say. You didn't think you were going to get away without finding out some interesting, fun facts about you, because you need to understand that this is what I call my version. This is not famous doxing that takes place. So we all know, the man behind the myth and the myth behind the legend. But did you know that he actually ran the New York Marathon a while back? And of course, can you believe that we did it together and we didn't even know each other? Not really, but this is an amazing story. You ran the marathon and you thought you stress fractured your foot around mile 22 and basically hobbled the last 4 miles. So did you finish, and did I wait for you in this hypothetical? I did really run the New York Marathon twice, by the way.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I did mine in 2011, I think. I mean, this is a while ago at this point. I did finish because there was no way I was not going to finish. I had a embarrassing time, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I did a marathon. I'm happy to say that I did. I had broken my foot when I was in high school, and I thought that during the race that I had basically rebroken that specific spot again, and so that was like that. It was a huge pain, and I was literally just limping the last 4 miles. Wasn't running, wasn't trying to run. It was funny because I actually met this guy. He thought he hurt his knee. And we just like wound up just talking for like the last like 3 miles or so. I think he's from Miami and had like some indoor soccer facility. And so it was
I mean, they talk about hitting the wall, but you actually kicked the wall apparently. So.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was painful. And then I went to the tent afterwards because you can't get medical help during the race,
right?
Otherwise, like you're out of the race. And so because I think I was like, hey, I think I broke my foot. What do I do? And they were just like, well, you can either finish or you have to stop. And I was like, okay, there's no way I'm stopping. But they looked at it afterwards and like, no, I think you're okay. So I still don't know what happened. Maybe it was like a very bad cramp, or I have no idea what happened. But it was just like I could put like no pressure on my foot. And so yeah.
It wasn't I did it twice, and I'm certainly twice and done. So here's another fun fact about you is that you have a Boston Terrier named Sherlock. But for some reason, I'm not really sure why you've subjected this poor dog to have to dress up like Sherlock Holmes. But whatever. I mean, so tell us about your dog, Sherlock. That is one of your 3 fun facts.
Yeah. Well, Sherlock is about 1.5 years. He's actually just hanging out behind the door right now because for whatever reason, as soon as I'm talking to people, that's the time that he thinks that it's time to play. But he has very much lived up to his name. He is extremely inquisitive and has a lot of energy, which Boston Terriers happen to have. But yeah, he always makes me smile.
Well, you know what you need a best friend, whether that best friend is an avatar or not. But what you don't want is, and this is kind of crazy. I mean, you have 50 plus Twitter accounts impersonating you. And so like, I was like, I got to go and check this out. And I mean, this is not a screenshot. I was like, if I type your name, like, what the hell is going on here?
I don't understand this. So your show is that you're not famous, but you have like 22,000 Twitter followers. I have like 15, 16.
Well, that's why I'm not famous. You're famous because no one's impersonating me.
But I don't know why. It makes zero sense to me. A buddy of mine yesterday texted me. He's like, "Hey man, are you okay?" And then he sends the screenshot of all these people who have impersonated me. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, why are people trying to pretend like they are me? Like what? And I went and looked, and I'm like, I don't understand the value that they are getting from it. I wish that they put the link to future NFT mints in their profile in addition to like just stealing everything else. But yeah, I'm very confused. I feel like I may have just like upset someone, like a particular person, for calling them out in one of the reports of like, hey, like this is not necessarily like a good project. And then they did that for retaliation. I really have no
I mean, I'm not trying to like kind of give them any space here.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like, here is one of them that clearly is the founder of Future NFT Mints, career coach, lives in Austin as well. They've got 4 followers, and I'm trying to think, like, are they actually tweeting? I don't think
That's the
they're.
thing is I haven't seen activity. Like there's a couple that have a little bit, and that's
Does
about it. And so
does this
I mean
mean
that
anything to you? Do you have?
no, I have no idea. And what's funny is that my profile picture is actually in September of 2021. I was like, you know what, I'm going to create a generative NFT project, and so I actually drew like a ton of different features. So the elephant that I use as my profile picture is actually like an NFT that I minted on OpenSea. And so I could just like, if I paid for Twitter Blue, I could, I would be the only one with that NFT because it's it just sits in my wallet and I had minted it. But yeah, I'm shocked when I learned this because I've looked at other people who have way more followers than me, and they don't have this number of people who have tried to impersonate them.
Well,
I have no idea what I don't know what I did. I've upset someone.
But it's actually funny though. I mean, first of all, you mentioned something as well, which is you don't know whether to be flattered or horrified, and in a way, whether we like it or not, it's actually it's very weirdly flattering because it actually demonstrates that you've kind of arrived. If no one's impersonating you, it's not that you dodged a bullet or that you escaped. It's the fact that nobody actually that's why I'm saying I'm waiting for someone to impersonate me. But until it happens, I'm clearly not on the radar. But it's a weird thing, Elliot, with respect to I mean, it's like I'm torn between the sublime and the ridiculous. You have all of these NFT projects, and immediately you have all these ridiculous, spam scam accounts that pop up that are stealing people's money, but it's almost like you've arrived as a project when that's being done. So it's like it's a catch-22.
I guess I just like the thing is it could just be one person who's done all of this. Like so there was I can't remember, was it February or January? We hit like 1,000 followers for Future NFT Mints. We're only at like 1,800, right? 1,700. And I was like, I'm going to do a giveaway. And so I did a giveaway, and someone DM'd me claiming it because that was the person who won. And I was moving quick. The NFT was like 0.03 ETH or 0.05 ETH. It wasn't like that expensive. They sent me their wallet, and I sent it to them. And it turned out, and then we had this dialogue, and they were asking for money, and it was very, very weird. And I was like, dude, I just gave you an NFT for free. Please like stop harassing me for this. And then the real person reached out to me. What had happened is that some scammer had spoofed the Twitter account for the real winner and had written out the real name, except instead of an L, used like an uppercase I. And the way Twitter is set up, you can't really distinguish between the two. And I mean, I wrote a tweet thread about, there were some best practices that I didn't employ and I could have. But then I followed this person because they had DM'd me. So I had this connection with them, and they changed their name in their account to spoof like 5 or 6 other people in the span of 8 hours. So Twitter had allowed a single account to change their username, like the @ name, and the full account profile like 8 times in the day to mimic another person, and they were running scams the entire time. And I wound up like, I said something to them, and I was like, hey man, like I'm following you, and I kept reporting them. And so part of me is just like, was it because I kept like engaging with this person? They eventually blocked me. But was it because I engaged with this person that they went ahead and did this? So yeah,
crazy. Well, listen, his name is Elliot with 1 T and 2 L's. The irony, of course, is that in school now, those that paid attention, that actually focused on spelling and grammar, those are the people that are winning now. And the people that actually do not read and pay attention to detail and cannot spell and do not understand grammar are the people that are getting scammed. So pay attention to detail. It is important.
It's I mean, the reality is everyone, right? Like I am so afraid of clicking something, signing something with my wallet. I mean, these NFT, these URLs are very deceptive. The scammers are very smart. And as we talked about a little earlier, right? Like we're very early in the space. We do not have good user experiences. We don't have good ways of detecting this. Like there are people who are, I would say, pretty smart people who have, clicked on the wrong link, signed the wrong smart contract, and have had their entire wallet drained. We've seen Bored Ape Yacht Club, we've seen Proof, Moonbirds. There's some people I think within Club CPG. Like they're not publicized that much, but it's tough. It's tough. So I would just say it's not just it's everyone who should be aware, because anyone could be a victim of this.
Well, here's an interesting. I always find a quote for my guests, and I decided to find something on the word KISS, as in keep it simple, stupid. This whole idea of simple but not simplistic, complex but not complicated. And then when I was doing my research, I actually found quotes about a real KISS. And then I thought, wait a second, this quote actually is a pretty good bridge. And so the quote is, never let a fool kiss you or a kiss fool you. And I thought that actually works really well for keep it simple, stupid, right? Don't let a fool dupe you. Otherwise, I suppose you're the real fool. And don't let the simplicity sometimes, don't let down your guard and get fooled. I mean, for example, just seeing a professionally looking website may not mean that the site is legit. So this is the quote that I found for you, Elliot. Never let a fool kiss you or a kiss fool you.
That is I don't know that I've heard that quote. It's a very
Exactly. It's
like
very
it.
meta, because it's like the quote that says, when you go to play a game, when you go to play poker, sit at the table, look around for the sucker, and if you don't see the sucker, get up and leave, because the sucker is you. It's one of my favorite quotes. I think it's from the movie Rounders with Matt Damon.
Yeah, I love Rounders.
So now, if you are looking for information, analytics, analyses, you should look no further than Future NFT Mints. It is, and I will bring it back up to the right. Not that one, but in fact, we're going to have to talk about Olive Garden another time, but not, but not today. Not today. Look no further than Future NFT Mints, a research, analysis, and discovery platform for NFTs. You can still go and actually mint one of the NFTs. I did before Elliot and I had even met. And you can get lifetime access to this analysis by going to mint.futurenftmints.com. It is 0.25, which is, I would say, if I may say so, value for money.
I appreciate that. I mean, the one thing I'll say is I know that it's on the higher end for most NFTs, but there's only going to be 500 of these, and the plan is that we will launch a platform, and that platform around September or October, we will do another mint of around 10,000 NFTs, and those NFTs will give a 12-month access to the platform, and the Genesis NFTs will receive one of those for free. And each time we mint one of those subscription NFTs, the Genesis NFT will receive one for free as well. I've outlined some of that detail in the white paper that is kind of more of a story than a true white paper. And so that piece of information is not that obvious from the website. We're wanting to build a little bit more, deliver a little more. But that is one of the key values for the Genesis NFT.
I love it. And you know what? I have become accustomed to my phone basically vibrating about 48 times in the space of about 1 minute, because you almost differentiated yourself. You branded yourself on these threads, on Twitter threads. And so I'd get like, oh my God, here they go again. 1 of 16, 2 of 16, 3 of 16, 4 of 16. I'd be in the middle of my show. I'd say, stop vibrating, stop vibrating. it's a family show, but still. But anyway, you've really differentiated yourself on these Twitter threads.
I appreciate that. I mean, one of the things, the reality is that they were taking a lot of time to put together. And so we actually have cut down on the Twitter threads. And so we've consolidated a lot more information into the research report. A lot of the feedback we got was that, oh my God, there's just too much. So we've simplified it. And the idea is that the platform, we will be able to expand content, make it really straightforward, make it simple and accessible, as well as allowing people to be able to find new information, update information, and for them to be able to add information as well. You know, again, this is like the idea is that, you know, we want to create a platform that is community driven. But again, you need someone who's kind of steering that and putting those tools together. And so that's really what we're trying to do.
Right. If you take anything away from this, it is the fact that knowledge is power. But at the end of the day, a trusted individual leading the dissemination of knowledge and a community of conversation and discussion around that information is really what separates winners from losers in this hurly-burly, volatile, unpredictable, and crazy world of Web3. Elliot, thank you for coming in today on whether it is Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, because quite frankly, anyone could be watching at any time. But I can tell you that as soon as Chuck Norris does come into the Web3 space, I have a feeling he's going to be one of your new subscribers. And here's what he had to say about you today.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
And we will be back tomorrow on Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.